So before 1984, Brave New World, Animal Farm, all those classic dystopians, there was We, written by a Russian author whose name I will murder if I try to pronounce it, so I'm not gonna. This was written or published a couple years after World War I, so for historical context, this was in Soviet Russia. Lenin was the Grand Poobah. You had communism and Marxism and Bolsheviks running around like it was a time. Not published in Russia, but published in English. Someone had to translate it, and then it got published. So there's probably some meaning that we're not getting since it was translated, because that's usually the case. But still good. Has like one of those, like that classic kind of flowery writing, which was good. I liked it. But this is another dystopian in that classic sense, only 100 pages, well, 103 to be precise. But yeah, it was good. It takes place in a place, I hit my camera. Takes place in a place called the United States. At first I thought that he was trying to be sassy about the United States, and it was kind of funny in that first page. But the further you get into it, the more you realize that no, that's just the name that he used, because it is like everyone, it's a we kind of system. So everyone together, everyone, you know, it's not much for individuality. There's no familiar ties. There's no real relationships. They're like best you have are some loose friendships. Everyone belongs to the state, and the state has also taken place for religion as well. So everything is just all meshed up into one. Everything is for the state, for the common good. You can have your own interests so long as it doesn't affect anything else. But intelligence is key in this society. Emotions have more or less been kind of weeded out, more or less. You know, everyone's just kind of trying to be, you know, you get up, you go to work, go home. Everyone kind of lives in glass apartments. So there's, are you coming? You want to say hi? You say hi? Hello. There you go. Oh my goodness. Okay. And the only time you can roll the curtains down is by request. And I think it's only time for like 30 minutes to an hour. Like you have to like hand in this written thing like, hey, I want to put down the curtains for on this day at this time. So it's recorded in the system. And those are only for like hookup purposes. Because there's no ties, so anyone can request anyone kind of thing, and you go. Which always kind of made me wonder as I was reading it, like, what about the people who don't care to put curtains down? Those people were never mentioned, but there had to be, right? Anyway, so this story, we follow a character named D503, because you do not have names here, you have numbers. And they all start with a letter, 3 numbers, and somehow people kind of look like their letter that they start with. This is the guy's interpretation, like people that start with an O tend to be rounded. People in S tend to have like a hunchback, or at least for the characters that he's talking about who have those letters. I don't know. And he is very by the book. You know, he does his things. He writes, you know, in his little journal, which is kind of this book, but not really his book. Like, he's just writing his journal practically. He goes to work. He's working on this project to raise the walls higher because they're in this encampment that they can't get, that they're not supposed to get out of. They don't think they can get out of. And so they're trying to build the walls higher to make sure that doesn't happen. And the story takes place when he meets her. The one who he can tell bucks the system, but he can't put his finger on how or why. And so he senses this, and he immediately hates her because that's what he's been conditioned to do. They've been conditioned to hate the ones who buck the norms, the ones who don't wear their, you know, they wear uniforms, like everything is very like equal playing field for everybody. Everyone is just kind of, you know, nothing special about anybody. But he meets her, and for no reason, like she's in her uniform, she's doing all the things, but somehow he knows to hate her, but he doesn't know why. But he's also obsessed with her after meeting her. Like he's all she can think about. She's all he can think about. Has so far prided himself in being the goodest boy. Like he does what he's supposed to, and he's happy about that. And upon meeting her, she somehow has this control over him. He doesn't know how or why, but he finds himself agreeing to do things with her, to be with her. Things that he wouldn't normally do, places he wouldn't normally go, trying things he wouldn't normally try. And he finds that he can't stop, but it's messing with him because he feels like that's not how he would normally be. And this is against the system, against his beliefs, but he's doing it, and he wants to protect her against others who might find out. So it's a whole thing. And the real kicker is the cognitive dissonance that has been permeated through the society, you know, things that happened way back in the day, you know, public murder, you know, they would take people out, you know, for people who were doing bad things in society, you know, like death penalties, or, you know, even before that, you know, there's like public sacrifice and things, and those things were very bad, and how horrible they were. And then he can correlate that to things that they're doing now, you know, how they're having public murders for people who are bucking the system. But these are good. These are great. These are being done by the person called the well-doer, who is the one who throws the switch. And that's why it's good. That's why it's great, because the well-doer is doing it, and they're doing it for our own good. They're doing it to protect us, to save us, and you know, not really realizing that it's the same thing. Just the only difference is the name of the title of the person who's doing it, and it's with their system, and it's, you know, that's why it's good. It's for their own good, to protect them from having different thoughts. So if you are into those classic dystopian books, definitely worth a read. You know, especially when it's just over 100 pages, you can knock that out pretty quick. It is somewhat guessable for the ending. You know, you can definitely see where it's going, especially in the last 30 pages. I don't try to guess what happens. Cats. But if it comes to me, it comes to me, and I was able to see it like in the last 30 pages. I'm like, yes, that's what's gonna happen. But there was also a twist too that I didn't see coming, but then it happens and you're like, well, yeah, of course. Of course they would do that. So yeah, some things you weren't expecting, some things you do expect. You know, it was written in the 20s. Like, there's only so many tropes, I guess. Only so many actions to take. So, but it's good. You know, it's definitely one to add to the classic dystopian pile. And on that note, oh, I almost forgot again, as I usually do. If you made it this far, thank you. Please like, comment, share, hit the notification bell. I think you gotta do. I don't know. But thanks for hanging. Thanks for chatting. And I will see you next time.